December 25, 2023, News Report 1. With only 20 days left until the Taiwan presidential election, 3 sets of presidential and vice presidential candidates have intensified their campaign activities over the Christmas weekend. Lai Ching-te of the Democratic Progressive Party, DPP, and his running mate, Xiao Mei-chin, completed a 4-day island-wide puzzle action, emphasizing that the people of Taiwan must be the masters of their own destiny, and Taiwan will not regress. Ko Wen-je of the People's Party, at a campaign rally, stated that not only Taiwan but one day the People's Party will change China. He emphasized the unwavering belief in democracy and freedom in China and made an ambitious statement. The Kuomintang, KMT, candidate, Ho Yue, held the first large-scale campaign rally in front of the presidential office in Taipei on December 24, announcing the participation of 80,000 people. However, Huang Weihan pointed out that the actual number might be only 20,000 due to insufficient funding. Ho Yue stated at the rally that he had participated in gunfights and would defend Taiwan with his life, emphasizing that he would never betray Taiwan. He urged his opponents not to characterize him as pro-China or selling out Taiwan, emphasizing the people's support for a change of political parties. He pledged to be closely connected with the people and bring back the Republic of China. Zhao Xiaokang criticized the DPP's new southbound policy, claiming Taiwan's increasing reliance on China. However, data from the Taiwan Mainland Affairs Council's Economic and Trade Negotiation Office showed that Taiwan's exports to China from January to November this year were $138.9 billion, a 16% decrease compared to the previous year, the lowest in 21 years. Zhao Xiaokang's remarks raised questions about the authenticity of his data. In addition, China's interference in Taiwan's election has been increasing. On December 22, the Taipei Kaohsiung Quoto District Prosecutor's Office uncovered a case of fake election polls, arresting Su Xiaodong, honorary chairman of the Chinese Nationalist Party Chinese National Volunteer Party. According to the case, Su Xiaodong received remittances and instructions from China in August and September of this year, conducting fake polls in the name of the Taiwan New Residents' Care Association and publishing false results in Taiwanese media for specific candidates' promotion. This is the second fake polling case within a week. Former Deputy Director of the Taiwan Affairs Office, Wang Zaishi, published an article in the Global Times on December 23, stating that Lai Ching-te is a stubborn and radical advocate of Taiwan independence. If he comes to power, the possibility of military conflict across the Taiwan Strait cannot be ruled out. This statement drew attention as mainland China once again threatened military force, which usually boosts the Democratic Progressive Party's election prospects. Military data shows that on December 23, 22 PLA fighter jets and 7 warships were active around the Taiwan Strait, with 11 jets crossing the middle line. On December 24, 22 jets and 4 warships continued activities around the Taiwan Strait, with 10 jets crossing the middle line. Additionally, on December 23, Chinese balloons were found crossing the middle line of the Taiwan Strait, raising concerns from the Taiwanese side. News Report 2. On the eve of Christmas, the Chinese Christian Representatives Conference convened in Beijing on December 20 and 21. Wang Huning, chairman of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference, met with members of the National Two Sessions of Christianity and urged them to adhere to Sinicization and conduct religious activities strictly according to the law. Wang Huning stated that Chinese Christianity should adhere to the direction of Sinicization, and interpretations of religious doctrines should align with China's development and socialist core values. He also emphasized that education should conform to socialist values but did not provide detailed explanations on how to achieve this. Wang Huning mentioned the need to build a politically reliable and effective team of religious professionals, engage in friendly exchanges on the basis of independence, equality, and mutual respect, and tell good stories about Chinese religions to the world. This statement raised concerns, with some considering it as Communist Party interference in Christianity, demanding that Christianity follow the guidance of the Communist Party. Asia Radio reported that schools and kindergartens in Guangdong, Fujian, and Heilongjiang provinces prohibit celebrating Christmas and Christmas Eve. A school in Dongguan sent an advisory letter to parents, stating that it does not advocate blindly following Western traditions and encourages cultural confidence, rejecting foreign festivals. Harbin Xingli Primary School issued a proposal, requiring students to have cultural confidence and refuse foreign festivals. In addition, a property management company in Shenzhen issued a notice prohibiting shops from decorating for Christmas. Some local governments even banned home church gatherings to celebrate Christmas. These actions have sparked discussions in China about religious freedom and cultural diversity, with some questioning the Communist Party's excessive intervention in the cultural sphere. News Report 3. On December 23, U.S. President Biden and Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu held a phone call, discussing the goals and stages of the military action in Gaza and how to rescue the remaining hostages. Biden emphasized the urgent need to protect civilians, support humanitarian aid, and allow safe evacuation of civilians from the combat zone. Both agreed to maintain regular consultations. Netanyahu thanked the U.S. for its position at the United Nations Security Council and assured Biden that Israel would continue fighting in Gaza until all goals, including destroying Hamas, retrieving hostages, and ensuring that Gaza never poses a threat to Israel, are achieved. Biden stated that he had a lengthy conversation with Netanyahu but did not request a ceasefire, representing the U.S. position. On December 24, the Israeli military intensified operations in southern Gaza, searching for Hamas leaders. According to the Israeli military, they found the bodies of 5 Israeli hostages, including 3 soldiers and 2 civilians, in tunnels in northern Gaza, with the cause of death unknown. On the other hand, due to the ongoing conflict, the holy city of Bethlehem in the West Bank cancelled Christmas celebrations. Manger Square, the birthplace of Christmas, was empty, with no festive lights or Christmas trees. Foreign tourists did not come as in previous years, and only dozens of Palestinian security forces patrolled the deserted square. Canceling Christmas celebrations dealt a severe blow to Bethlehem's economy and tourism industry, with 70% of the city's income coming from Christmas celebrations. Local officials stated that over 70 hotels were forced to close, thousands lost their jobs, and gift shops saw a decline in business. It is suggested that Hamas may not have anticipated such significant harm to the Palestinian people when launching terrorist attacks. News Report 4. For the first time, Ukraine celebrated its Christmas on December 25. As an Eastern Orthodox country, Ukraine, like Russia, traditionally celebrated Christmas on January 7 according to the Julian calendar. However, following the Russian invasion of Ukraine, the Ukrainian parliament changed the date of Christmas to December 25 in July of this year to break away from Russian traditions and eliminate Russian influence. The decision aimed to align with other countries and synchronize with Western Christmas dates. Ukrainian President Zelensky delivered a Christmas speech on December 24, emphasizing that this year's Christmas during a full-scale war has a different atmosphere, background, and taste. He noted that family companionship has become more critical, shifting the focus from dishes on the table to protecting the homeland. Zelensky expressed the importance of driving the enemy out of Ukraine, looking forward to the stars in the night sky, rather than enemy missiles and drones. News Report 5. According to the New York Times, despite Russian President Putin's repeated emphasis on his military strength in public, he is, in reality, signaling to Ukraine through informal channels his willingness to discuss a ceasefire. Since September, Putin has consistently conveyed signals through intermediaries, indicating his openness to a ceasefire. Currently, although Russia has not achieved Putin's initial goals on the battlefield, their propaganda machinery has successfully exaggerated Russia's achievements in the war, creating a perception that the war is favorable to them. Putin believes that a combination of factors has created favorable conditions for reaching a ceasefire agreement. Firstly, the battlefield has reached a stalemate. Secondly, Ukraine's counteroffensive has been disappointing. Thirdly, Western support has declined, and finally, the conflict in the Donbass has diverted people's attention. Therefore, Putin sees the current situation as an opportunity to achieve a ceasefire agreement. Putin aims to reach a ceasefire agreement before the Russian presidential elections in March next year to gain more voter support and showcase political stability domestically. If successful, Putin can declare victory in the war, providing support for winning more votes in the elections. While this strategy seems reasonable, it is also influenced by various factors. News Report 6. Hong Kong has a total of 4 days of holidays this Christmas, from December 23 to 26, and a large number of Hong Kong residents have chosen to travel abroad. According to data released by Hong Kong Immigration, on December 23 alone, 670,000 people left the city, with 500,000 being Hong Kong residents. Similarly, on the 24th, 630,000 people left, including 450,000 Hong Kong residents. This indicates that nearly 1 million Hong Kong residents chose to travel abroad in these 2 days, with 820,000 heading to mainland China, and the Luohu port being the busiest exit point. Based on data from the Shenzhen Tax Bureau, if calculated at an average expenditure of 730 Hong Kong dollars per person, the total expenditure of Hong Kong residents in mainland China in the past 2 days is close to 600 million Hong Kong dollars. However, due to the significant number of Hong Kong residents choosing to spend in mainland China, the catering industry in Hong Kong has been severely impacted. As of December 24, the total turnover of the entire Hong Kong catering industry reached 380 million Hong Kong dollars, a 15% decrease compared to the same period last year. Among them, the most affected are Chinese restaurants and eateries, which used to require advance reservations but now see a decline in business compared to previous years. Additionally, although there is still considerable foot traffic in some commercial areas in Hong Kong, the spending power of citizens has decreased, impacting income and presenting challenges for the city's business and catering industries. News Report 7. Voice of America reports that a leading think tank in New Delhi, India, has discovered that Chinese government hackers have been continuously targeting India's critical infrastructure, especially the power grid. These cyber attacks intensified after the India-China border clash in the Galwan Valley in 2020. India's Minister of Power, Singh, confirmed that Chinese hackers attempted to attack the Ladakh distribution center in northern India twice but were unsuccessful. This discovery indicates an increase in Chinese hacker attacks on India's power grid after the India-China conflict. Minister Singh's confirmation also highlights the clear threat posed by Chinese hackers to India's power system. 2 weeks ago, representatives from India, the United States, and Taiwan convened in New Delhi for a cybersecurity conference to discuss how to prevent cyber attacks from Chinese hackers. This joint effort by the 3 nations against Chinese cyber attacks is considered rare, as all 3 countries have been victims of cyber attacks. This underscores the cooperation among these nations in the field of cybersecurity to protect their critical infrastructure from cyber threats. News Report 8. In Indonesia, an industrial accident occurred at the Qingshan stainless steel plant, a Chinese-owned enterprise, resulting in the death of 8 Indian workers and 5 Chinese workers, with at least 46 others injured. The incident happened on December 24 when an explosion caused a blast in the smelting furnace, damaging the building walls. Firefighters took 4 hours to successfully extinguish the fire. The Qingshan stainless steel plant is a joint venture between the Chinese Qingshan Group and India's Baksan Group, part of the Belt and Road Initiative. The accident occurred while the smelting furnace was under maintenance, and the explosion happened when residues in the furnace encountered combustible materials. The plant is located in the Morowali Industrial Park on the Sulawesi island of Indonesia, with half of its shares owned by Chinese investors. This is not the first time such an accident has occurred at the plant. Since 2019, there have been 2 similar incidents, resulting in the deaths of 22 Chinese and Indonesian workers. Civil organizations in the Indonesian province of Central Sulawesi have questioned a series of industrial accidents in Chinese-owned factories, suspecting the effectiveness of the Indonesian government's intervention in the operation of Chinese-owned factories, pointing out that Chinese-owned factories seem more focused on production than on ensuring safety. News Report 9. The People's Daily reports that, as of the close on December 22, 43 companies listed on the A-share market have been forcibly delisted this year, setting a historical record. In comparison, there were 16 companies forcibly delisted in 2021, and this year's number has increased to 43. Among them, 20 companies had stock prices continuously below 1 yuan for 20 consecutive trading days. According to Chinese listing rules, a stock price continuously below 1 yuan for 20 consecutive trading days triggers the delisting regulation. Therefore, among the 43 companies, 20 were delisted due to stock prices below 1 yuan. It is noteworthy that the reasons for previous forced delistings typically involved financial issues. Among the companies forcibly delisted this year, 8, including Sunac China and Taihe Jia Kai, belong to the real estate industry, the most affected category. Following that are computer companies, with 7 computer companies forcibly delisted. News Report 10. The National Press and Publication Administration announced on December 25 that the number of gaming approvals granted in a single batch has exceeded 100 for the first time, with a total of 105 domestic game licenses issued. In 2021, China issued a total of 748 game licenses, including 672 for domestic games and 76 for imported games. Compared to the previous year's 512 licenses, including 468 for domestic games and 44 for imported games, this year's issuance has significantly increased. Specifically, 1075 game licenses have been issued this year, including 977 domestic games and 98 imported games. This large-scale issuance of game licenses is seen as a possible move to ease the tense situation in the gaming industry. In the preceding 3 days, the National Press and Publication Administration released the regulations on the management of online games, causing a significant uproar. Due to the new regulations, the stock prices of gaming companies listed in the stock market plummeted, with Tencent losing 360 billion in market value in a single day. The extensive issuance of game licenses may be an attempt to placate the gaming industry, but some investors express concerns that the Chinese government might impose stricter regulations on the entire internet and high-tech industry, causing apprehension. News Report 11. Former Minister of Finance, Lou Jiwei, stated at the China Wealth Management 50 Forum that the distinction between urban and rural household registration should be abolished. This would allow rural residents to have equal access to public services and market entry rights, enabling them to comfortably purchase homes in cities. Lou Jiwei believes that such a reform could boost consumer demand by 30%. He suggests starting with pilot reforms in the outskirts of major cities and gradually expanding them nationwide based on experience. However, some critics point out the impractical aspects of Lou Jiwei's statement. As the former Minister of Finance, he did not consider the public service costs associated with urban household registration. Additionally, while advocating for rural residents to purchase homes in cities, he did not consider whether they have sufficient financial resources, raising further questions. Overall, Lou Jiwei's remarks have sparked controversy in public opinion, with some considering his ideas overly idealistic and not fully addressing practical issues. News Report 12. On December 22, the U.S. State Department announced an expansion of sovereign claims over the continental shelf in the Arctic and the Bering Sea, covering an increased area of 1 million square kilometers, equivalent to twice the size of California. The continental shelf refers to the natural extension of a coastal country's land territory, usually not exceeding 200 meters in depth. According to the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, the extent of the continental shelf is determined by the seabed and subsoil of the underwater region. Countries with a continental shelf can explore natural resources, lay submarine cables, or pipelines. The U.S. State Department declared an extension of the continental shelf in 7 regions, including the Arctic, Atlantic, Bering Sea, Pacific, Mariana Islands, and the Gulf of Mexico. The State Department emphasized that this expansion is based on geographical considerations rather than for natural resources. However, some experts point out that the U.S. continental shelf contains various minerals, including lithium, zinc, and 16 rare earth elements. This may be one of the strategic considerations for the U.S. to expand its sovereign claims. Kraska, director of the Maritime Law Department at the U.S. Naval War College, suggests that the purpose of the U.S. expanding the continental shelf may be to protect strategic mineral resources. The areas covered by this announced expansion of the continental shelf have significant strategic value. News Report 13. Deutsche Welle reports that a family of 6 planning to enter Cuba was denied entry because one of its members stated during entry that China does not recognize Taiwan as an independent country. This family actually resides in Canada and has permanent residency there. Their original plan was to travel to Taiwan and Cuba. Upon entry into Cuba, a family member expressed that China does not recognize Taiwan as a country, and due to the current tension between Taiwan and China, their passports were confiscated by Cuban customs, awaiting over 10 hours. Ultimately, the Cuban government did not allow them entry and demanded that they return to their departure point. It is noteworthy that on August 2 of last year, the day when then U.S. House Speaker Pelosi visited Taiwan, the Cuban Ministry of Foreign Affairs issued a statement expressing that Taiwan is a part of China. The Taiwan Ministry of Foreign Affairs is investigating this incident and advises caution for travelers to Cuba until the Cuban government's policy becomes clear.